The Civil War remains to date the bloodiest war ever fought on American soil. Perhaps one of the most famous tales of the Civil War is the story of the Great Locomotive Chase, where the famous locomotive named the General was hijacked by Union forces attempting to sabotage the Western and Atlantic Railroad, while Confederate forces gave chase in another locomotive named the Texas. The mission, while technically succeeding in destroying vital segments of the railroad that would take weeks to rebuild, resulted in all of the participating Union soldiers being imprisoned by the Confederates. Some were executed, some managed to escape. Those who did escape were given what is now the highest honor in the United States Army, the Medal of Honor. It's been nearly 200 years since the line was first built, and it is still a crucial route for trains running from the southeast to the Midwest. The line is no longer operated by the Western and Atlantic despite still owning it. The railroad line is now the CSX I154 subdivision, leased from the aforementioned Western and Atlantic since it's owned by the state of Georgia. In the weeks preceding this event, I was tracking the movement of the Office Car Special, which is CSX's executive train for, you guessed it, railroad executives. These are some of the only passenger cars you will get to see in action, since passenger service has long fell off since the 1900s. In the case of the OCS, I watched from afar as it ran up the A-line up to Baltimore for the opening of the Howard Street Tunnel for intermodal service. This will not affect my line, sadly. It won't even affect Atlanta in general. But after that, the OCS ran down my line, to which I got this shot in Winder. I tried to chase it down the line, but failed to catch up to him after having to wait for traffic to clear up. Always be on the right side of the road, y'all. After taking a 2-hour drive, I ended up here at Kennesaw, Georgia, and sure enough, there was the OCS blocking the Main Street crossing. The reason why this reenactment is happening in the first place is in recognition of some brand new Medal of Honor recipients who will be riding this train from Kennesaw, formerly Big Shanty, up to Ringgold, Georgia, where they will disembark. This is accurate to the actual chase, where Union soldiers had to flee from the General after the locomotive ran out of fuel and thus could not continue up to Chattanooga, let alone Nashville. For some reason, my camera decided to be glitchy, and as a result, I lost some footage due to data corruption, so here's a few minutes after I arrived at Kennesaw. As I had anticipated from the very moment I heard about them boarding at Kennesaw, I knew there would be some train coming south that would come by. Sure enough, I heard over the scanner a symbol that I'm well familiar with in the Atlanta area, M541, daily mixed freight from Cincinnati to Waycross. Of course, I apparently lost the beginning of this train because my camcorder hates the hell out of me, but I got this. not bad of a catch, if I do say so myself. Now I could have stayed in Kennesaw for a bit longer, but I wanted to go ahead and get going since the train was just about done boarding. So I scrambled over to Acworth. I forgot it was a quiet zone, but that's fine.
CSX Equipment Defect Detector. Milepost 67.62. No defects. No defects. Total axle 7.4. End of transmission. No defects. There's a defect detector. Correct axle count.
I literally don't know what they were doing, but for some reason they were doing 10 to 15 miles an hour through town and took so long. I had enough time to talk with 3 locals with full-blown conversations about the train.
Do you know what time it's coming through here?
I'm not sure.
It was 1:55 when somebody posted it coming through Cartersville.
I saw. I'm not sure where it is right now. All I know is that we have another train coming south, so maybe he's waiting for them.
Oh, okay.
I doubt it, though.
All right. Now, is it supposed to do the route of the Great Locomotive Chase?
Yeah, this is the original route.
Well, I know that.
Very nice people, by the way. I definitely recommend going to Adairsville. They are very accommodating, very hospitable. And I just realized I forgot to go to the Great Locomotive Festival. Oh well. I was honestly so sure that I wasn't going to catch it again, but I decided to follow it anyway. I tried for Calhoun, but I heard its horn as soon as I got into town. So I opted for a spot I was scouting out ahead of time, Resaca. I was maybe a minute in front of this train, and I met a few other rail fanners there, as well as M885, Nashville to Atlanta mixed freight train M585 operating under a curfew. Now, I debated on going to Dalton and catching it there, but man, I am so glad I opted against it. Instead, I went for Tunnel Hill, which I knew would be a scenic spot that would drag dozens of rail fanners out, and boy was I right.
Road foreman to the southbound. Come in, over.
Hey, Alex. They said they had the medium alert. Well, it looked like it, but it probably... Hey, headlight. Headlight in the tunnel. Alright.
Now, I could have continued up to Ringgold, but I opted instead to head down to Dalton, which I'd never actually visited before. Literally, as we were pulling into town, we have this intermodal coming through. I believe this is Norfolk Southern 29F, which is a daily intermodal train from Chicago to Jacksonville. But as I'm not familiar with the schedules around this area, I wouldn't be surprised if it was something completely different. But I was here, so I decided to stick around. future note to self, hearing protection is not enough at this spot. The screeching is so loud that it was still annoying through the hearing muffs I was wearing. Or well, at least on CSX. It's not so bad on the NS. I also wanted to film here at Lake Allatoona, but the boat dock I thought was public turned out to not be public. Don't ask how I got the footage. Future note to self, do not go to Acworth while chasing trains or you will end up going through a time warp. I swear this has happened to me multiple times, I just don't know how to prove it. Regardless, that's still 4 catches of the OCS, as well as M541, M885, I154, and 29F. And personally, I think that's 12 hours put to good use.